Yo, what up, a-holes? Thank you for tuning into the Holistic A-Hole podcast. My name is Eric Levi, and I'm the Holistic A-Hole, the mommy blogger with balls, the inconvenient truth of health. How's it going, everybody? Hope you're doing great. Hope you're having a great week, a great Thanksgiving week. I'm sure some of you are off work right now, and you're just sitting around binging on Holistic A-Hole podcasts and videos. And hey, I love you for it. And if you haven't done it yet, you can go do all that through the app that you're listening to this podcast on. You can do it on YouTube. You can just join the Holistic A-Holes Facebook group. You could follow Holistic A-Hole Facebook page. You could just send me flowers to Holistic A-Hole, whatever you want to do. I'm grateful that you are listening today. And maybe you tuned in because you caught the title of the podcast pertaining to Amy Schumer's recent hospitalization because of pregnancy complications, because I wanted to talk about that. Now, you know, I'll be honest. Some of you may know I am not like the best at keeping up with the news. I find so much of it is just hot garbage and I could care less. But when I saw that Amy Schumer was hospitalized, of course I was very, piqued. My interest was piqued. I was concerned, I've seen Amy Schumer perform a number of times. I've seen her at the Comedy Cellar. I've seen her at, several different comedy clubs around New York City. I think she's hilarious. I remember when I first saw her Comedy Central Presents, I was still fairly new-ish to comedy, and I thought she was fucking brilliant. So I don't have anything personal against Amy Schumer. Other than her politics are a little, libtard-ish, but I'm not going to hold that against her as a person. I don't hold any person's politics against them. But when I saw she was hospitalized, immediately the first thing I thought was, it's the pregnancy, because I remember a couple weeks ago, she just announced that she was pregnant. And I follow her on Instagram, and she takes some, prego pics and all these things. And then I saw she was hospitalized, and I was immediately interested because this is a thing I'm trying to learn more about. I'm trying to learn more about women's health. I'm trying to understand women's health because, ladies, you're fucking complicated. You are goddamn complicated creatures. And I mean that, in the nicest way possible, in the most empathetic, caring, and loving way possible. But goddamn, your bodies are they're a masterpiece, and they're also like a complex algorithm that, will take forever for me to figure out. But your hormones are so crazy, and the way your body works, and the way it gets pregnant, and the way it squirts milk out the nipples, and the way that your butts are so nice and round, and the hips are the right proportion, and the back, and the hair, and all of it. I love it, right? I love women. But goddamn, you all going through pregnancy seems like a nightmare, and look, any woman who's been pregnant, or any guy who's been with a pregnant woman, I'm just gonna, foreshadow this podcast. I have never had a child. I've never given birth. I've never been pregnant. I've never, been with somebody who's pregnant. So some of you may know some more about the inner workings of, I guess, like the emotional aspect of this than I do, okay? So I'm just kind of, forewarning, like, I don't know where this is going to go. I don't want to sound insensitive, but, when we're talking about facts and we're talking about science and we're talking about, hard data, it's going to come off a little insensitive, so I'm going to do my best. I'm just saying that. Also, I am not a doctor, okay? I am, an amateur citizen scientist, which just basically qualifies me to do a health podcast. And, I find things that are interesting. I do, the research that I can. I don't have unlimited access to every medical journal on the old interwebs and the databases, but I'm going to do my best, right? So I'm just giving you a heads up. If you are already triggered and angry because I'm talking about a thing that I might not have experienced myself, then you know what? You might not. You might want to go back and listen to your, garbage podcast. I don't know what to tell you. I don't want you to leave. Stay. Please stay. I need you to stay. So here was my initial thought when I saw Amy Schumer was hospitalized, right? I was like, okay, well, clearly this is something to do with the pregnancy. I didn't read the headline. I just saw Amy Schumer hospitalized because for the first couple of days, it was like, oh, crap, is she okay? Is everything okay? Like, I thought maybe, she had an accident. Maybe, I wouldn't even think in the pregnancy sometimes. I was like, did she have an accident? Is she, did she get attacked? Did she, was it an automobile thing? Was it a plane thing? Is everything okay? Right. And then turns out she had, she was hospitalized with this condition called, what is it called? It is called hyperemesis gravidarum. I know I didn't say that right. But I've looked everywhere and I can't find the freaking pronunciation of it. So we're going to go with hyperemesis gravidarum, okay? And I know some of you are sitting there just like punching your steering wheel like, you son of a gun, holistic a-hole. You can't even say the freaking name of the thing right. I apologize. Get over yourself. So she was hospitalized with this hyperemesis gravidarum, which is basically, she was experiencing just terrible, pregnancy illness, sickness, right? Which seems to be a lot of, vomiting and nausea and just every terrible part about pregnancy that it looks to me on the outside would be very uncomfortable. She was experiencing that to a high degree. And, I was shocked to see that. I mean, I've always been aware that, again, pregnancy is not an easy thing, and a lot of women struggle with this morning sickness or with afternoon sickness, and that, certain things make them nauseous, and they're very hypersensitive. You're very hypersensitive to a lot of different things. So I'm not like, coming from this from like a perspective where I didn't know coming in that pregnancy was a hard thing. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's a pretty safe assumption to make. But she was experiencing it to such a degree that she had to go to the freaking hospital. And I'm sure some of you ladies listening to this, maybe you've been through this before. But after doing some research and then just kind of understanding, just from an outside perspective of who Amy Schumer is. Granted, I've never hung out with her. I've never talked to her. She could be a totally different person than the person she portrays in public. But just kind of going off of the person she portrays in public as a comic, as just being a comic myself and knowing like the grind of that life. And for her, I mean, it's exponentially more because she is one of the biggest comics in the world. She's dealing with a lot of factors that are not working in her favor to have a good, safe pregnancy. Let's just be honest, right? For a long time, I mean, she was just a comic in New York, and then she got famous, and, she tours the world doing comedy. She's also, from what I understand, a little bit of an alcoholic. Okay, or at least she was, and then she got pregnant, and she's probably responsible and probably doesn't drink. I hope not. I hope she doesn't drink or smoke or any of that stuff. But ladies, if I were you and you are like looking to get pregnant, I would take Amy Schumer's hospitalization as just a solid shot across the bow that if you are looking to get pregnant, now is the time to get your shit together. And I don't just mean like your finances and your jobs and I mean like your actual diet and health. Like I am shocked, the more I learn about health, shocked to see how many women are out at the clubs and the bars almost on a nightly basis. Definitely here in New York City, almost a nightly basis. Definitely a weekly basis. Definitely a several night a week basis. Boozing, boozing and eating, just shit food, like, I mean, fucking sugar all over the goddamn place, rolls, sweetbreads, fucking croissants and pastries and cupcakes and, cakes and pies. I mean, go to a fucking bakery. Most of those baked goods are getting consumed by women, right? Women, you're sweet, but you eat too many sweets, okay? And I've got plenty plenty of ammo against the dudes and the diets. But I'm focusing on women right now because this does play into the topic of the podcast, right? So much sugar, so much booze, so much fried food. Food, maybe it's not even fried, it's just cooked in garbage oils. It's fat that's rancid, right? It's trans fat. It goes in your body and creates oxidation, okay? And then on the flip side of that, you're also not getting the nutrients you need to combat that shit lifestyle, right? You're not getting all of your proper B vitamins. You're not getting nearly enough vitamin C. You're not getting nearly enough fat because most women have been told and convinced that fat makes you fat, so they don't eat fat. This is where I was for a long time in my life too, and now I'm totally transferred over to the other side that, look, you need the fat, especially you need the fat to make, for the cholesterol, to make the sex hormones, to make your pregnenolone, it's going to make your estrogen, which is going to make your whole body fucking right? So there's a lot of foundational issues that I see happening with a lot of women, and if you look at someone like Amy Schumer being hospitalized because she's having such insane pain and illness during her pregnancy, and you're one of these girls who's going out and you're like, I'm a strong woman, I'm not going to let some man tell me that I can't booze it up every night, I can't have a couple glasses of wine to wind down at night, I can't go to the club and have a bunch of, vodka sodas and let dudes buy me shots, I'm not going to let some dude tell me that. Well, then you're going to have a really fucking hard time during your pregnancy, okay? Because the pregnancy starts way before the pregnancy, right? You have to build your body with the raw materials to be able to fucking grow a goddamn life form in your body, Like, as a dude, all I gotta do is put it in you, squirt it out, and I'm done, okay, for 9 months. I can just sit back, chill, I can drink all your beers, okay? But as a woman, you gotta build the infrastructure to be able to house a little baby that's gonna grow up to be a freaking thing, and it's gonna come out healthy, okay? And it's no surprise that if you look at the statistics of the shit food being consumed in our society to the amount of things like miscarriages or birth defects or even like post-birth problems, mental problems, ADHD, there's a litany of these different diseases. I mean, the correlation is pretty fucking solid, as the shit food goes up, so do the birth defects, right? And then I know, everyone's going to throw in their thing of like, well, we just didn't diagnose it right, or it's the anti-vaxxers and all this. No, it's the shit bodies that women are trying to house fucking growing babies inside. And you need to fix that fucking thing up. Granted, I'm well aware that a dude might be delivering just garbage, jizz to you. And I mean, that's unfortunate, right? That's a terrible thing. Dude, you need to get your house in order too. There's a lot of genetic deficiencies that can happen very early on in your life. I heard a thing recently. I don't remember where I heard it. It was from some, one of these educational medical outlets or whatever. But it might have been from Kate Shanahan, author of Deep Nutrition, which is a great book. Highly recommend it. Where they talk about, I can't be sure that it was her, but either way, where they talk about your diet and lifestyle in your ages between I think it's 8 and 14 or 8 and 15. So whatever you're eating, whatever your lifestyle is, if you're exposed to just a shit ton of chemicals, if you're eating in garbage food, whatever it is, the damage that you're doing to your body, you might not feel that for the rest of your life. Like, look, we all have stories of being 9 years old or maybe even 12 years old like me. I mean, I was eating freaking Burger King a couple times a week. I was eating, just nothing but, white pasta and bagels and donuts, and I was probably just ingesting all kinds of chemicals. Grew up in a freaking pool, so I just had chlorine just all over me all the time, fluoride in all this shit, right? And I've grown up to be a holistic a-hole. Everything's okay. But the thing is what I did to my DNA through that chemical exposure, that will be felt by not just my children. That's going to be felt by my grandchildren. I think the term is called genetic mobility or something like that. It's look it up. It's a real thing, you know? The effects of it, who knows, okay? But this is how sensitive our genetics are transferring on to, future generations. So dudes, if you don't got your house in order and you wanna put one in a lady, you need to get that shit together, okay? But going back to the ladies here, to the Amy Schumer, if you're out there boozing every night, specifically boozing, like someone like maybe Amy Schumer did. I'm not saying she did. I don't know. I wasn't with her, but I do know that in her last comedy special, she walked out on stage with a bottle of wine, okay? She was wearing some weird leather outfit that, she was fucking popping rolls out of, A lot of that, a lot of those rolls come from insulin, that this is storage hormone. It's basically taking sugar, converting it into fat, and it's putting it on your fucking ass, on your hips, on your gut. You can almost look at somebody and see like an insulin gut and be like, okay, well, this motherfucker eats too much sugar, okay? And again, sugar is in everything. It's not just like you're sitting there eating lollipops and ice cream and cake, although some of you might be, it can come through soda, it can come through booze, it can come through, any processed good out there has some kind of sugar in it. It can come from fucking fruit juice, Fruit juice is all sugar, Some of you on those juice fasts, you're just dousing yourself with just fucking, loads of sugar. And it's not helping you at all. Yeah, you're getting the vitamins, minerals, nutrients. There might even be debatable on that. But this is all sugar related, okay? So I'm just making, kind of an assumption about Amy Schumer. Plus, just knowing as a comedian, your employment is in a bar, okay, a comedy club, and one of the ways that they, compensate you is you get fucking free drinks. Especially if you're someone like Amy Schumer, chances are you could just order whatever the hell you want all fucking night. You could drink vodka sodas, you can drink a bottle of wine, bottle of whiskey, whatever it is, right? And a lot of girls take pride in their drinking abilities. I remember, when you're in your late teens, 20s, you're in that college age. Yeah, you take a lot of pride in being able to drink a lot. I've been there, But the problem is that shit stays with you. It's in your body. It's toxic material. It's accumulated in your fat tissues. It's accumulated in your liver. It's accumulated in your blood. It's accumulated down to the DNA level of your cells, and then you're making shit RNA, and then you have just shit DNA, and your body's just not working right. This is why, so much emphasis is put on detoxing, right? Detoxifying your body. This is not like some, woo, unicorn jizz bullshit. This is like real stuff. You have to have proper functioning of your liver, your phase 1, your phase 2. You got to have, your intestines fucking cleared out, your colon cleared out, so you can remove these toxic materials from your body. But people who are busy, sometimes they don't invest the time that me and you a-holes do in understanding how the body actually works from a fundamental foundational level. So someone like an Amy Schumer, who's fucking making tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, touring the country, touring the world, making movies, just being a goddamn person of interest, maybe they don't have the time to invest in this sort of thing, right? So these toxic materials that have been accumulated over the years, the fat storage with, all of the sugar and all of the insulin, it starts to it basically starts to reprogram the way your body works. And when you put together the sugar with the gut dysfunction, because your gut's not going to work right, your liver's not going to work right. That's a pretty much a slam dunk right there. If you're boozing a lot, your liver is just not going to work right. And that's a huge problem, because your liver is a very important organ. So is your gut. And so if your gut isn't pulling out the nutrients out of the food because it's so compromised, and then it's not sending the right toxic materials through the blood to the liver, and the liver can't get rid of the fucking toxic materials, well, you got a serious problem, okay? And so that's just kind of like the foundation to get to what I want to talk about here, which is this Hyperemesis gravidarum. Okay, some of you, I know you're just sitting there just fucking honking on your horn. You're so angry I can't say that shit, right? Get over it. So, Amy Schumer was hospitalized with this hyperemesis gravidarum, okay? And I went on to, PubMed, and I'm looking around, I'm seeing like, okay, what's out there on this? And just so happened to run across some studies, that are kind of supporting what I'm saying right here. For instance, Hyperemesis gravidarum is complicated by the Wernicke's encephalopathy. Jesus Christ, man. Like, I don't know. I need to just sit down with flashcards and learn how to say all these words. Why in medicine do the words have to be so goddamn complicated? Maybe that's why we're just raising a country full of morons, because these freaking words themselves are too hard to say. If they made the words easier to say, we would have a country full of doctors, and fucking health specialists. But they make the words so freaking complicated. It's because doctors are so full of themselves that they have to complicate everything by making words so goddamn big. They don't have to be that big. We get it. You spent years of your life going through med school or becoming a lawyer or whatever you're doing. Doesn't mean you have to make my life miserable by making these important words so hard to goddamn say. So hyperemesis gravidarum is actually complicated by the Wernicke's encephalopathy, and basically what Wernicke's encephalopathy is it's a vitamin B1 thiamine deficiency. So basically what they're saying is the disease or the illness that Amy Schumer was hospitalized by, which is the same illness, the sickness that many women experience during their pregnancies, is caused or is further complicated by a vitamin B1, aka thiamine, deficiency. All right. Well, how does one get a vitamin B1 deficiency? It's actually not that hard, because a lot of people don't get their B vitamins in their food supply. If you're not eating, a whole food diet, I would even venture to say maybe even, I don't want to say plant-based because that makes it sound vegan, but, a diet with good plants and good healthy meats and fats. This is how you get your B vitamins. Specifically, you get a ton of B vitamins through things like red meat, liver, fatty fish, things like that. I think beans have a lot of B vitamins. People think about B vitamins, they think like B12. B12 is like a controversial thing. Really, the best source to get that is through like animal, specifically, cow meat. But all the other B vitamins are available in things like beans and, green leafy vegetables, things like that, right? So the idea is if you're not eating a whole food, quote unquote, plant-based, with good, healthy meats and fats diet, you're going to be right off the bat deficient, okay? But then to make it worse is vitamin B1, thiamine, is actually a deficiency in vitamin B1 thiamine is actually a result of alcoholism. Your body uses vitamin B1 to metabolize and break down alcohol. Your body goes through a pretty labor-intensive process when you drink to get rid of the alcohol. You really put an insane stress on your body to make it work when you drink alcohol. This is why hangovers suck so much, because not only does the alcohol go in, it fucking taxes your goddamn liver, it taxes your gut, it taxes your blood sugar, it taxes your adrenal glands. It's like if you could go in and just run a couple marathons as fast as you can, how shitty would your body feel? That's basically what you're doing when you drink excessive amounts of booze. Now, if you go out at once a week and you have a couple glasses of wine or a couple beers, or you're like an occasional drinker, we're not talking about that, okay? I'm not saying you need to ditch booze for the rest of your life. The old holistic a-hole, I like to kick back with a couple brouhahas every once in a while, but I can't do that shit every night. There was a time where I was doing that shit every night, and subsequently, my health was a complete disaster. you know? And some of you might drink all the time and your health might be a disaster, but you live on this kind of low frequency that just waking up with a hangover, it's almost normal, you know? It almost feels weird if you don't wake up with a hangover. Okay, these are the people we're talking about. When you live at that low frequency, when you're drinking booze a lot and you're eating shit fried food, which again, is what you eat when you're on the road, you know? I live in New York City. I have access to basically every kind of food that you could go anywhere from, you know, the most toxic garbage you could imagine to super fucking healthy, right? But when you go to like the middle of the country where maybe some of you live, or into really, I mean, any other part of the country other than places that have an emphasis on healthy food, you know, like an LA or a San Francisco or a Portland or, you know, Colorado or whatever, any of these places, you know, there's like some real shit food around the country. Sometimes you're in places where you can't get anything good to eat. And by the way, they have comedy clubs there because they're like, well, you could go hang out at the Walmart or you could go hang out at Dr. Grin's Old Comedy Club, Thursday through Sunday, best headliners in the country. And, you know, when you're a comic in these places, your options of food are basically McDonald's, Applebee's, or the fucking, you know, hot buffet at Walmart, which is not a buffet. It's a rotisserie chicken with whatever the hell you could put together, fucking macaroni salad. But this is like the real shit. This is what I'm talking about, you know? So someone like Amy Schumer, who's hospitalized with this Hyperemesis gravidarum thing, you know, this is complicated by Wernicke's encephalopathy, which is a vitamin B1 deficiency. Why would you have a vitamin B1 deficiency? Because you need vitamin B1 to process alcohol, okay? Boom, there you go. And then so vitamin B1 deficiency would lead you back to Hyperemesis gravidarum, okay? AKA what Amy Schumer was hospitalized for, okay? Now, this is my own theory, okay? You know, this is just me throwing this idea out, right? I don't have any medical data. I don't see her charts. I'm not a doctor. I've not consulted with doctors, even though I think doctors would probably tell me I'm full of shit because they don't like to think about these foundational issues. They just want to give the medication and move on. But you know, other things that can affect a woman's reproductive health. Okay, again, excessive amounts of sugar, stress, mental issues. I mean, there's so many that could that can mess you up. I mean, definitely chronic stress is a problem. Those of you who even drink, you know, a lot of coffee. Some of you go and you get your coffee. I go to the coffee shops. I see the girls in there getting the coffee, dumping the sugar in, throwing on the whipped cream, you know, putting in the low-fat milk, which is pretty high, has a high glycemic rating there. You drink a couple of those a day, or even one a day. Yeah, that's gonna tax your fucking endocrine system, you know? Nutritional deficiencies, pre-existing conditions, diseases, just a freaking morning commute, driving to work, all these things cause stress, which in a very simplified way of saying this, it breaks down the house that you're trying to grow a baby in, your body, you know? So this is the whole point of my podcast right now. Ladies, if you fall into one of these camps, one of these things I've talked about, and you're living your life and you're having a good time, there's nothing wrong with that, okay? I want you to have a good time, okay? But you can't sit there and have your cake and eat it too, no pun intended. You have to make a decision. Do you want to have a baby? Do you want to have a healthy baby? Do you want to have a healthy baby and a healthy pregnancy? Do you not want to deal with complications like getting hospitalized? I can't find one person. I could sit on the streets for hours and days and weeks and months and ask people if they would like to be hospitalized. I can't imagine anybody would want to be hospitalized. Do you want to be hospitalized? Because you're pregnant. If the answer is no, well then what you need to do is all of the shit I just said, whether it's the alcoholism, whether it's the excessive amounts of sugar, whether it's the stress, the coffee, the, you know, digestion problems, whatever it is, you got to get that house in order. And you got to get it in order, like, I mean, a long time before you get pregnant. You know, you have to get it in order, and you got to detox that shit out of you. And then you got to just chill like a fucking normal functioning human for a little while. And you got to eat a good whole food diet with lots of, you know, plants and good meats and fucking good fats. Get the good fats, you know, get the grass-fed, grass-finished butter, get the grass-fed, you know, chicken liver, get all that stuff. Get your B vitamins, because once you do get pregnant, if you have all that good nutrition in you, if you've detoxed all of the crap out of you, you're gonna have you should, in theory, have a fairly decent pregnancy. You know, I mean, this is, again, you know, this is just the research I've done. Okay, I know that babies are born every single day to mothers who, you know, do not follow the guidelines I just laid out. So you can do that. You can have a baby. And I fucking used to work with a lady who was pregnant, and she would fucking smoke cigarettes every single day on her breaks. I mean, I never knew what happened to the baby. I don't, you know, I didn't keep in touch with this lady. I didn't particularly like her, but I remember watching her smoke cigarettes every single day. Every single day when she was pregnant. And she probably had other bad habits. She was, you know, obese before she got pregnant. She was obese during pregnancy, probably obese after her pregnancy, you know. Really terrible health. I don't know what's up with the baby. I know she had the baby. I don't know anything after that. So is it possible to not do all the things I just said and have a baby? Absolutely. Hey, be my guest, right? But if you're listening to this podcast, chances are you care about your health, and you probably care about your children's health, and you care about your friends' health, and you care about your friends' children's health. I would not let this information just fall under the radar. In fact, if you think I'm full of shit and you want to prove me wrong, you're more than happy to try. Okay? You can tweet me, you can send me an email, you can send me a Facebook message, whatever you want. Okay? But what that's going to do, and the reason I'm more than welcome you to argue with me or debate me, is going to make you look up this information. Okay? Because if you're sitting there and you're like, you're full of shit, Eric, but you haven't done the research, well, I'm not full of shit. You got to prove I'm full of shit, okay? And when you start doing this research, if you're looking at the right shit, and you're not just looking at the, you know, the studies funded by, you know, Anheuser-Busch and, you know, Gentleman's Jack whiskey, or whoever would fund a study that would show that women who drink have healthy babies, you know, if you're looking at the right information, you'll fucking find that this is all the right stuff, you know? But again, nobody's putting it out there. I didn't hear CNN say anything about this. Oh, they fucking put the articles out that Amy Schumer was hospitalized. They got the clicks, they got the ad money. But nowhere did they say, ladies, if you want to not have this happen to you, you need to keep your B1 thiamine profile up nice and high. And you know how you do that? You kick the goddamn booze and you kick the sugar. So, again, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Please share it with anybody who you know is experiencing any of this stuff, who, you know, is thinking about getting pregnant. If you're getting pregnant, please, you know, share it with them. If it's your first time here, make sure you hit the subscribe button right there in your podcast player. Go on, share the podcast on Instagram. You can tag me at Holistic A-Hole. You can share it on Twitter. I'm also here at Holistic A-Hole. Facebook page, Holistic A-Hole. Facebook group, Holistic A-Holes. Go join all of them. And if you really love the podcast and you think what I'm doing here is fantastic, please go on to iTunes, or you can do it right there in your Apple Podcast player. Leave the podcast a nice 5-star review with a cute little message. And, you know, maybe if I like what you said, I'll give you a little shout out here on the podcast. So thanks for listening, everybody. Have a great day. Have a happy Thanksgiving. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.